Hey guys, welcome to another deck profile. In this one, I'm going to be going over my Dragon Link deck profile. After Euros, with some slight modifications, it's gone 21-2 over multiple tournaments. I'll go more into detail about the tournaments at the end of the deck profile. And at Euros, it went 8-3. My first two losses were due to my opponent drawing the perfect cards at the perfect time, and those got me the L there. And the third loss was a mistake purely on my fault, but the list itself was insane throughout all the games I played, and in every single game there's been a way for me to win, but I made some slight errors which cost me those games. So in total, including Euros and every other tournament afterwards, I've gone 29-5, but with the current list, with the changes after Euros, it's gone 21-2. All right, let's just get into it now, and then I'll go over the games and everything afterwards. Just get right into it. So first off, we have Free Safer, which is the best starter card for the deck. This card adds any of the level 4 baby dragons, so white dragon, black dragon, or if you've already got them, you can just link it off into Striker, or you can use it to add Tracer if you've not got Tracer access. Or if your way into Tracer's been negated, you can then summon this and then get the Tracer that way. So yeah, and then from grave it adds back either Lubellion or Levianeer, or it can even recycle your level 8 synchros. So this card is pretty insane. And if it's banished, which it does to add back the level 8s, then you can bring it back with this beta and get infinite follow-up. This card is just so good for the deck. So good for the deck. There's also Black Metal, which is another starter card, but the problem with Black Metal is that it doesn't have anything outside of just making a link too, whereas this gives you so much more. Next up, we have the Baby Dragons. These cards are crazy. If they are limited, which is why we can't play more, but if we could play more, probably would, because this card is just insane. These cards are just insane. They just add each other 3 special summons with regained. They just recycle each other pretty much infinitely. And Chaos Space, you know, this card is crazy. And then for the Rocket Engine, we played 2 Tracer, the 1 Recharger, and Absorouter to search them by dumping this off of Ravine. We played a pretty small package, but this is pretty standard. We didn't want to brick on too many rockets, but we also wanted to play quick launch. This is just easy access to tuners, basically. And then we played the 1 Levianeer. This card is just crazy in the grind games. It brings you back into so many matches. It's insane for the control matchups. Sane against Lab, Sane against Kashtira for outing Birth and everything. This card's crazy. And then for the Bystials, we played 3 Lubellion, which adds any of the Bystials and then places any of the branded spell or traps. And you can add it back from grave with Safer. This card is actually ridiculous. 3 Magnamot. It's just a free special summon, and then in end phase adds any of the dragons in your deck to your hand. So basically your entire deck. This card is ridiculous for us. And 3 Saronir. This is basically another semi-starter. It dumps Lubellion to grave, and if you've got Safer in grave, then you can add back the Lubellion and then pitch Lubellion to add another Bystial. So this card is pretty crazy. And if you've already got Lubellion, then you can use it to dump Regained, and then Lubellion to place Beast, and then in end phase you can place the Regained off of Beast's effect. And then for the other 2 Bystials, we played 1 of each, Wondrous, 1 Boardrake. The reason these are only at 1 of each is because they're good as interruption or outing cards, but by themselves and during your combo they don't really do anything. So other than being free bodies, of course. But yeah, this is good as an interruption, just banishing when they summon a Link, XYZ, Synchro, Ritual, etc. And this is just good for outing cards with its grave effect. So, Bystials are really good. And then for the spell and traps, we played one of each. There's also Etude that you can play, but I think Etude is bricky and not really good in most matchups, so I think those are way better. Then we played Assault Synchron, which not a lot of people are on. I'm only playing 2 because I don't want to brick on too many copies. But when I see this, and if I see it with a Bystial, which is like 90% of the time, or like I can get to a Bystial in other ways, this card is just ridiculous. So this plus a Bystial with and Lubellion, or a Bystial and Serenier, makes you go this plus. And this, which not a lot of people are on, but Assault Synchron is so crazy in the deck. It gives you so much depth, and it protects your main combo after just setting up protection, basically. So this by itself, and one Bystial, and if this by itself with Saranier or Lubellion gets you to Dissipator, Baron, plus one of the branded spell traps. Or if you're starting with Lubellion and you have another light or darker grave, you can get to both spell traps. And that's without using your normal summon. So like that's great to like set up protection for your main combo. And then we have both the field spells. Both are insane in their own right. They're both kind of bricks, but they're also kind of not bricks. Boot Sector just specials a rocket from hand or grave. Well, specials a rockets from up to 2 rockets from hand, and then if your opponent controls more monsters than you, special from grave. Card's crazy, and you search off the Striker Dragon Link one, which is ridiculous. And then we have Ravine, which you just pitch one from hand to pitch any dragon from deck. So you can use it to dump either Absorautor to search Tracer, you can dump Safer to add Lubellion from grave or Levy from grave, or you can dump Lubellion if you already have Safer in grave and just add back the Lubellion from grave. And then we have free quick launch, which is the main reason to play the Rocket Engine. This card is ridiculous, just specials a rocket from free from deck. Tracer is a level 4 tuner, so Tracer plus 1 Bystial makes a level 10 synchro. So Baron, Dissipator, etc, etc. Then we played only 2 Chaos Space. The reason we're only playing 2 Chaos Space is because I wanted to play 40 cards, so I had as much chance to see my board breakers and my side cards as possible. But I also didn't want to lose to a Rise Heart, so I wanted to play less cards that lose to a Rise Heart straight away. So that's why I only played 2 Chaos Space, because you can't use this on the Rise Heart, which just sucks. But it's obviously too good to not play. That's why I'm only playing 2, but it's a really good card, obviously. And then for our board breaker cards, we're playing 3 Dark Ruler. This is the best board breaker right now. It deals with the decks that you want to deal with, like against Kashtira, it negates the Rise Heart, which is all you really need to do, and it also negates the rest of the bodies like Fenrir, Shangri-La, etc, etc. It's also generically good against a lot of other matchups like the Mirror. It's alright against Branded, but I would probably side it out after game 1. It's great against Sprite. It's a really good card all around. Then we're playing 3 evenly. This card is generically great going second. And I know what you're thinking, like you're playing Bystials. This doesn't work because of you're playing Bystials, but we'll get into that in the extra deck because there's an easy way to out your board with. It's a easy way to get rid of the Bystials on boards to be able to use the evenly, which I'll get into soon. But this card is just ridiculous right now. The only reason for dropping this from the main deck would be if you're hard countering Kashira. If so, you just replace these with the Dark Kaijus, and then your main deck's pretty much built to beat Kashira. But like generically, this is a better card than the Dark Kaiju. And then the last two cards in the main deck are Change of Heart and Mind Control. These two cards have overperformed for me. Change of Heart just takes any monster and then they can still attack and still activate their effects and everything, which is crazy. And you can use them as link fodder for one of the cards that I'll get into in a bit. And then Mind Control, this means that the monster can't be tributed or attack, but it can still use the effects. So you can take a monster, use the effect, and just and then use it as link fodder. Again, I'll get into what you use them as link fodder for. And then these cards are also easy outs to Arise Heart or Zeus, which are like the only issues that you're scared of. So, you know, there's that. Now let's move on to the extra deck. So the best extra deck card is Striker Dragon, obviously. This card searches Boot, and it's got the second effect of destroying a monster you control and adding back a rocket. So let's say you have no way into your rocket, you can destroy itself, add back Tracer, or it's good for the Recharger Recycle effect. You can destroy itself, add back Recharger, then use Recharger effect because it's in a hidden trigger location. And then you can special a different dark than what was destroyed, so a different dark to Striker Dragon. So in the grind game, you can bring back stuff like Dispater, Borrowland, or you can just bring back cards like Magnamut and get the effect online to get you better into the grind game. And then the other link one you're playing is Pisty. This card's okay. The main reason it's okay and not great is because to go for this, you have to play very hard into Nib, unless you make it like turn 3 with like an already established board, but at that point it's alright, you're already winning. But yeah, going for this combo game 1 is very risky. You're playing into Nib and everything, just not worth it in my opinion. So I've not gone for this a lot. I've mainly used this just as another link 1, so basically like going quick launch into Tracer, linking Tracer off into Striker, adding Boot, and then using effect to pop itself and add Tracer back, and then summoning like a baby dragon like Light Dragon by banishing the Striker from grave, and then linking off into this, and then adding Black Dragon, then summoning Black Dragon and making a link 2. But yeah, like this card's okay, but going for it is usually very risky, so I don't go for it a lot. Romulus, the first effect is obviously to just add Ravine. Ravine is really insane. And then the second effect doesn't usually come up, but if your Striker Dragon gets ashed or veiled, then you can use this to special Tracer from your hand, and then you still have Synchro plays. If your only tuner access is Tracer, and if you've got no Assault Synchron, obviously. But yeah, so it's another way to like cheat out a tuner if you need to, but you don't usually go for that effect, but if you need to, then you do. Playing the 2 seals, I've seen a lot of people cutting the second seal, but I think the second seal comes up way too much in the grind game to not play. I know you can place seal back with Regained or Chaos Space, but in a lot of situations where you can't place the Regained, like in the mirror, then the second seal is very important, so that you can get the necessary resources to stay in the game to eventually be able to place them later, basically. And then I'm playing the 1 dark. This card's crazy in the mirror. It's crazy against Branded. You can special that Aluba and search Regained or Beast. It's crazy against Cash. You can use this to bring back the Arise Heart after you've outed it. And just as getting fodder for other Link summons, like for the Pisty line, turn 3, etc. But this card's crazy. Then a card that not a lot of people are playing in Dragons is Azalea. This card is ridiculously good. So this card lets you out any other card by sending itself if you don't have 3 spells in grave. And it turns into a construct afterwards, which is crazy. You don't usually have 3 spells in grave unless you've been through 3 field spells and like either Chaos Space, Quick Launch, unless you've been through Ravine, Boot Sector, and either Quick Launch or Chaos Space. But this is what I was talking about before. Like, if you Bystial your opponent, then on your turn, you just special any other dragon, then link them both off into this, and then you out a card, and then you can evenly them. And then this is also what you go into when you like Mind Control or Change of Heart your opponent. Because usually the problem cards you want to Mind Control or Change of Heart are all Lights or Darks, like Arise Heart, like Zeus, and like many other cards. Or like at worst, if the top monster you don't take is not like those, then you can just make Dark instead, which is fine. And then we've got Triple Burst. This is for the Pisty Borderland combo. And then the Borderland, obviously. This card is like the boss monster, but you don't make this a lot. That's because going for this is really risky. Again, like Nibiru is a thing, and Dark Rule is a thing, so it's risky even if you do end up making it. But it is a really good card. It just attacks everything, so it's a really good OTK machine. Its negate effect can't be responded to, and it's just got a lot of protection on it. The card is crazy. The card is crazy, but it's just risky going for it. We're playing the 1 Savage. It's just a level 8 Omni Negate that gets really big. Like, this is usually the way you out ridiculously big monsters. Like, at worst, you can equip it with Borderlands really late to out some cards like the big pearly XYZ. But like that's really hard to do, obviously, but you can get to it. And Pearly can't usually out Borrel End anyway. So it's usually a stalemate in that situation, but you know. We're also playing the 1 Scarlight. The reason for Scarlight is it's a Regeki and it does a little bit of burn damage. So like if you attack and you need that extra bit of damage, you can then burn your opponent for game. And then we've got the extra Axel Stardust Dragon. This is for the Assault Synchron combo. So now that we're at this stage, I'll tell you the combo. So basically, you go, let's say you have Lubellion plus Assault Synchron. You go Lubellion, adds any any Bestial. Usually Sarania is the correct one. So you go Special Assault Synchron, Special Sarania. Banish a Light or Dark from your grave. Then you go Assault Synchron plus the Sarania into this. You go effect of this, effect of Sarania. If you've had to banish the Lubellion, then you send another Lubellion off the Sarania. If you had a different Light or Dark, then you send Regained. This obviously brings back the Assault Synchron. And then you Synchro this and the Assault Synchron for Dissipator. This is obviously an insane card for the deck, but during this combo, you go effect of the... You go effect of Lubellion, tribute this to summon the Lubellion back, and then you use the Assault Synchron to bring this back, and then banish itself. And then you go Lubellion. If you banish a different Light or Dark, you place the Beast, so to place the Regained in end phase. If you didn't, then I usually place the Regained because I like having the follow-up rather than the extra interruption, personally. And then afterwards, you use the Assault Synchron plus the Lubellion to make Baron as well. So you make 2 level 10 synchro. You make 2 level 10 synchros plus the Branded Beast and Branded Regained, or just one of either. Just off of Assault Synchron plus Bystial, which is insanely ridiculous in my opinion, and it protects your main combo afterwards. So I think that's the main reason, just to play Assault Synchron. And then Chaos Angel is just ridiculous. It means you don't need a tuner to make a big synchro with a crazy good effect. It means Seal can't die by battle, because you're always using a Dark to summon this. It means if you use the light, your synchros are towers basically, and on summon it banishes something, which is the main reason to play it. And it's not even on synchro summon, it's on any special summon, and it's not once per turn. So you can use this to banish something, then link it off, to banish it from grave with a Bystial, then bring it back with this bait and banish something else. And you can also bring it back by linking it off. Then if you've recycled Striker Dragon, you can go Striker Dragon, target Recharger, and then Recharger effect to bring this back and banish something else that way as well. This card is ridiculous in the deck. Card is just ridiculous in pretty much every deck. This card is so good. The fact that you don't need a tuner to make Chaos Angel is kind of dumb. Moving on to the side deck, we have 3 Ash Blossom. This is just a generically good card. It's just side in against a lot of matchups and taking out cards that aren't good in a lot of matchups. Like, let's say against Branded, I'm taking out Dark Ruler and putting this in, because this is just so much more against Branded. And even for going first, like, it's a good side-in card. Like, we're taking out Dark Rulers, the Evenlies, the Change of Heart, and Mind Control going first. And then these obviously come in because it's just an easy side-in, generically good card. And then another generically good hand trap in most matchups is Droll. This is good, pretty good, this format. It hits a lot of things. In Euros, this was originally Lancia. The main reason I played Lancia over this in Euros was in a cash matchup, if I get shifted, I can still use Lancia and it hurts their combo. But it's not the best because it means that they still have ways to make their Rise Heart if they've got like a special summon, a Birth, and a normal summon, plus a Theosis. So they do need a lot, but it's like still possible for them to play, which is risky. Like, this is great, but it means you can't use it under Shifter. But this is great in a lot of other matchups as well, so that's why it's there. It could go back to being Lancia, but I'm not sure yet. That's like this one thing that could change. And like I said before, here's the Dark Kaijus. This can swap places with the Evenlies in main deck. But like, that's up to preference. I like the Evenlies because it's generically more useful in a lot of different matchups. But the Kaijus can go in if you're hard preparing for Kashtira, because Rise Heart is really annoying, and this is just an easy way to out the Rise Heart. It's also good in other matchups, just outing annoying bodies. Like in Sky Striker, it shuts off all the back row and gets rid of the link. Against Branded, gets rid of some annoying monster. Like, you don't really want to Kaiju the Mirror Jade because the graveyard effect is kind of annoying. But like, in general, it's just a good card. Pankratops as a one-off side deck card is just ridiculously good, alongside Harpy's Feather Duster for the control matchups. Pankratops by itself threatens 2 cards. On summon, if they don't deal with it, then you go Battle Phase, attack over something, and then pop something else. But if they do try to deal with it when you summon it, then you go Chain to pop something else. So this is a 2-for-1 card, ridiculous. And then there's Duster, which is just a back row wipe, crazy against the control matchups. And then the other one-off side deck card is Bystial Dragon Link. It's just the extra Dragon Link. This is for the matchups where Bystials are really good, like Striker, Branded, the Mirror Match, Live Twin Runix, Evil Twin Sprite, you know. And then the last card in our side deck is Skill Drain. I know a lot of Dragon players aren't on Skill Drain, but this card is ridiculous in this deck. This is just like an insta-win if you flip it. Because Skill Drain, anytime I flipped it, I think I've just won the game on the spot. Skill Drain means that your cards all resolve while your opponents don't. Because you have Branded Beast. So, for example, let's say you have a Bystial in hand. You've searched a Levy off of Magnum and MiniFez, and then you go Special Levy, Effective Levy to pop 2. They'll obviously go like, okay, Skill Drain's up, I'm fine. Then you go Branded Beast, Tribute Levy to pop something else, and then it resolves, then Branded Beast pops something, then Levy resolves, and it's no longer face up on field, so you pop another 2 cards. So it's an easy way to out monsters on the Skill Drain. And then you have Druid Worm, which is another easy way to out monsters on the Skill Drain. And then you have Seals, which can be activated under Skill Drain anyway. And then you have cards like... Then you have like crazy board breakers like Mind Control, Change of Heart. You have Regained. You have Beast. Like Regain Beast together with Skill Drain up just like makes it crazy. Regain Beast plus Skill Drain is just FDK pretty much. And then you have just a big bodies that your opponent can't deal with, like Chaos Angel, Dissipator. You have all the Bystials. It's just ridiculous. Like, Skill Drain is insane in this deck. But yeah, so that deck overall went 21-2 after Euros before I changed Lancia to draw. And then at Euros, I went 8-3. And that's when I played... That's when I played the Lancias over the draws. And now I'll get into the games I lost, because the games I won were pretty convincing. So the games I lost in Euros, let's go to Euros, because that's the most important event. So the first match I lost was to Kashtira, and the reason for that was they shifted me, and I needed to survive, so I had to Bystial the shifter to survive. And then afterwards, they just shifted me again because the grave was now empty. So, like, yep, I got sacked there, I guess, but it is what it is. And then the next match I lost was again to another Kashtira player. And the way I lost this match was I outed their entire board. I knew they had a Fenrir that they searched, and I knew they had one Birth that they searched in hand, and one Unknown, and I had a way to out pretty much everything. So they drew for turn, they go special Unicorn, so now I know the hand is Fenrir plus Birth, so I go, okay, that's fine. They go Unicorn effect, then I go Baron to negate the Unicorn and destroy it. So now I know he has Birth Fenrir. I know the Unicorn's already used its effect. So Fenrir, the most it can do is get a Rise Heart, but he's already been through 2 Rise Heart, and I doubt he's on a 3rd. So at worst, he makes a Zeus, but I can easily deal with Zeus because I have a Change of Heart in hand still, and so that's an easy way to out it. And then he goes activate Birth, so this is where I go the Bannered Beast to destroy the Birth, because all he has is now the Fenrir, which I can easily deal with. Then he just top decked another Birth for turn, so I just lost that game. So, but it is what it is. It is what it is. that because Birth was the only top deck that won him that game, but like it's fine, it's fine. Next, my other loss in Euros was my fault. Basically, I was playing against Gold Pride Punk. He made his only card. He had Punisher plus one set card. I had two options. One was to go for a safe line and set myself up to win the game. And the other was to go for a risky line, hoping the back row isn't anything important, and then just going for a game. That turn, I didn't look at the clock, which was the issue. So I just went attack into the Punisher, take a lot of damage so that I'm lower. So now it can be affected so that in his turn I can Borrowland it and negate its effects and set it back to 35. And my board was Borrowland, Chaos Angel, plus Dissipator, and both spell or traps. And so I passed my turn, and I'm pretty much in a position where I can't lose at this point because I've also resolved Magnamut to add a Boardrake just in case he has any plays. And then he goes his turn, battle phase, knowing he can't do anything anyway, and then time was called. So I didn't realize the clock was so close. If I did realize that, then I would have gone for the OTK line and put him on the back row not being anything, because the back row in the end was nothing. So I should have just gone for the game winning line there. But like that's my fault, and like I guess I gotta keep in mind that the clock is a very important part of the game now. So it is what it is. Then after Euros, after I changed from Lanciers to draws, I've only lost 2 games. One was in a post-Duelist Nexus tournament. In the final round of Swiss, I played against Purely. And I didn't really know what the new cards did, and I ended up making a lot of misplays, which cost me the match. But I ended up winning out top cut, so I won the tournament anyway. And then my other loss was on the OTS Champ on Saturday. I went undefeated in Swiss, and then in top 4, I made a huge misplay in game 3 where I went autopilot, and I did the Assault Synchron plus Bystial combo I talked to you about, but I sent the Regained off of Saranir, even though Branded Beast was already in my hand. So it meant that I couldn't get the Regained onto my fields that turn off of the Lubellion, and it meant that I lost the resources to be able to keep up, and I ended up losing that game. So yeah, like that's my fault again, but it's fine. It's like we learn from these mistakes. It's fine. I just gotta keep in mind to keep track of everything. Like the clock, the number one most important thing to keep in mind of. My hand, like if I've drawn Beast, don't send Regained off of Saranir, which is pretty important. Or if I've already got Tracer, don't send an Absarat or something like that. I'm playing around those cards that can out my board. Like against the Birth, I guess I could have waited for him to use Birth so that if he had the extra Birth, it would have just been a dead card, and then I'd just pop the monster he summons back, and then his Fenrir can't really do much. And if I did that, I think I would have won that game. But obviously, there's those unwinnable matchups anyway, like the one where I got shifted, then Bystial the shifter, then got shifted again. Like that was unwinnable because I only had Bystials, and that was my only way to survive. And then when he shifts me again, like that's just wraps. But yeah, like other than like the slight misplays from my part, the deck itself was insane. The list itself, no issues with. I've not really bricked at all with this list. There was one game where I've drawn like 3 Bystials and no plays going first, but that's fine. I just pass. Then my opponent tries to play, then I Bystialed them, and then I ended up winning that game. because Magnum is a crazy card. Just search as a starter. So yeah, like the list is crazy. Like if you want to play a dragon list, I would recommend my list. Or like some slight tweaks, like I said, you can play the kaijus instead of the evenlies. You could play quad brawl in the extra deck, but the cards that you would play over, are either Scarlight, Azalea, or the second seals. I just feel these 3 cards by themselves do much more than quad brawl. Like fine, quad brawl can like out like a monster, and if it outs a link monster, it can bring back the rockets. But like the second seal in a grind game is almost 100% necessary. I know you can recycle seal with regained or chaos space, but the issue with that is if you can't get to the regain, and if you don't start with chaos space, then you're losing a grind game. Of making it like an easy seal is like necessary in grind games almost all the time. But if your regain gets outed, then you're losing the grind game if you don't have the second seal. So that's necessary in my opinion. Azalea is just such an easy way to out cards. Like this by itself outs a Rise Heart just by summoning any 2 lights or darks. And that's only if they don't have Infinitrack Goliath, but that's fine. So, because like the only way to out a Rise Heart in that case is drawing your board breakers. There's no extra deck ways to out it except Chaos Angel, I guess, but they're never letting you just summon Chaos Angel for free, let's be honest. But like it's so good having a card in your extra deck that just easily outs with a Rise Heart. There's been so many games where matches have been decided on me just having 2 lights of darks. My opponent's got a cash board. I just go summon this, effect, kill a Rise Heart, and then I'm pretty much winning that game there. And Scarlight, I think, is the most likely one you can drop for the quad barrel. But I think this comes up too much, especially the Regeki and the burn effect. I don't think you can cut this, personally. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed.